is WKYC TV.
Thanks for staying up later. Teri Garr was here a few years back, at which time we talked about Tootsie, her Oscar-nominated performance in that movie, and a few other things. I can't remember exactly what, but there's a whole list of stuff we didn't talk about, such as the fact that Jackie Gleason was apparently very friendly with your dad, who was an actor, a vaudevillian, and did a very, very nice thing for your family at one time. Mm-hmm. True?
You know, I'm not sure if it's true, but I was told this by my mother and my aunt that I don't know how good he was, good friends he was with my dad, but he told me that he used to go watch him work in some club over in New Jersey. But when my father died, my mother said that Jackie Gleason sent us $5,000 to Jackie's wife at a party once. She said, yeah, that could be true. And I worked with Jackie on that movie, Sting 2, and I never asked him about it. But I did talk, you know, we talked about my dad. He goes, oh, yeah, sure, I knew your dad. He was funny. He was nice. And
then you hosted some sort of tribute, television tribute to Gleason. Was that just coincidence, or did you want to do it because of that family connection?
No, I think they called me because I was in the movie with him, and they had worked with a couple of other people. Art Carney was in that, and I forget who else they asked to be in that, but it was, you know, just because I worked with him, I think.
What was Gleason like at that stage of his career? This is what, mid-70s or something?
No, it was, I think it was around 82 or 81 or something.
Late?
Yeah. He, I don't know, he was very nice. He was a star, you know, he was like a star. No, I like working with those people and watching them. Because he says, don't call me out of my trailer until you absolutely need me. I don't want to be standing around here. Whenever he wanted a cigarette, he'd snap his fingers. Mel, cigarette. It was that kind of stuff that only big stars do. It's kind of crazy.
So a snap meant only cigarettes. There was a different signal for some whiskey or something?
I guess. I don't, and apparently at that time he was not drinking. At least that's what he said. Who knows? I liked him. You know, I like victims of show business. I feel that's what he was. You know, I mean, he was this big star in his show, and he had to figure it out, and he had to boss people around, and it makes people nuts. It makes people nuts. You know, it's like Faust. You sell your soul to the devil. You get all this money, you get all this fame, and you trade it in for being a real person. You don't empty the garbage anymore, and you don't make English muffins. You have servants, and you have people help you, and you command people, and people expect it of you. So it's not a real thing. It's hard.
Is everybody who's in show business a victim of show business to some extent?
Well, I guess to some extent, yes, but you can sort of push some of it away if you want to, if you choose to. But it's not easy. You know, it is not easy because you're constantly being pointed out, walking down the street. You're on television. You're in the movies. You're different from me. And you want to go, no, 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 I'm not different from you. I'm just a person like you. But anyway.
Have you gotten comfortable with it?
Oh, God, no.
Think you ever do?
No. I mean, I don't know. I guess people, if you get comfortable with it, then you're in trouble. If you walk around expecting to be recognized and have people, I don't know, carry your luggage or whatever it is, then you're in trouble. Probably.
When people do see you on the street, what's the thing that they mention most? Letterman at this point, with all the appearances you made there?
Yeah, different things. It depends on where. It really depends on what part of the country I'm in, if I'm in a big city or if I'm a little city or if I'm an airport. Airports are big barometers, you know, because people travel in and out of airports and they see you. But a lot of times people see me and go, you're that actress, aren't you? You're that actress. Oh, I know you. You're very good. I know you. What's your name again? And very often I say that my name is Meryl Streep. And they all go, yeah, that's right. So I always mean to tell Meryl that she's not really as big as she thinks she is.
See, but even if you said, my name is Teri Garr, a lot of them would say, yeah, that's right.
I know.
As if they had to, you know, clear it up for you.
I know.
Right?
I know it. Or they, you know, they wait until I'm in a parking lot with my arms full of groceries and the cleaning and stuff. What have I seen you in? And I'm standing there like a jerk, you know, talking to people that I've never met before, telling them.
What do you tell them?
Well, I was in this thing, and I was in this thing, or I was in Mr. Mom. I try to start with big things so that maybe they'll get it. No, I don't go to the movies. No, I don't watch TV. You know, I have a friend in L.A. who will remain nameless, but she's on a television show, and her boyfriend has trained her, do not talk to these people, do not answer them. She was in an elevator the other day, and somebody said, oh, you, I know you. Where do I know you from? You're on TV. And she's like, not talking. I'm not talking about this. And she wouldn't answer the guy. And she said, you know, we should go on TV and we should make a public service announcement and go, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're coming to the Los Angeles area, it is very likely that you're going to run into people that look familiar. Please, please, do not approach them unless you know exactly who they are and what you've seen them in. Because they're people too, and they have feelings. They're human beings. Because they go, what have I seen you in? Who are you? And I want to go, well, who are you?
Right.
I haven't seen you. Or
how about this? Should I know you?
Yes.
Now, there's two ways to answer that. One is just to give the basic information, the name, rank, and serial number, and either move on, or maybe it's even a friendly encounter. Or you say to yourself, by answering that, should I know you, or where do I know you from? That assumes that you think they should know you, that you want them to know you. You know, so sort of like by buying into that, you're almost saying, yeah, okay, I think I'm different than you, or I think that you should be interested in me. It makes you feel goofy.
Well, you know, it also goes in peaks and valleys of how your career is, and if you've been working in something or if you're not working in something. I mean, once you've got your foot in the door and you're in, you're always going to be something. But, you know, it goes, even I heard Marlon Brando once say, you know when your career's taking a dip, when you get on planes and the stewardess isn't really nice to you and doesn't know your name. But then as soon as you get a hit movie, they're really, Mr. Brando. So it's, you know, you can't take any of it seriously, that's for sure.
I think he could probably ride on inertia for a long time. I don't think he really needs a big box office smash to start being Marlon Brando again.
That's true.
In his case.
That's true. He's broken through the sound barrier. But this was before Godfather. I think I saw him do this interview. He talked about this. And he'd had a career that went like that.
Yeah.
My point is it happens to everyone.
You've got an interesting kind of celebrity in that, you know, you've been in a lot of good movies and popular movies, Tootsie and Young Frankenstein and Mr. Mom and a long list of stuff. And yet a lot of times you'll appear on shows like this without any specific, you know, project to talk about. You're just kind of showing up as yourself a lot. So people will recognize you and not know necessarily exactly what for. You're in a strange netherworld.
Well, thanks for pointing that out.
You know, I knew I couldn't get out of this. I'd wandered into a deep cave, and there was no way out.
Oh, it's going to help me sleep better tonight, to know that I'm in a strange netherworld.
But you know what? You know what might help?
What?
The fact that we could edit that out. Or the fact that by the time it gets into the show, it might be 1:45, 1:50 in the morning, and anybody who watches
nobody's watching. Or by the time the show comes out, I might be in this big hit series. You know, Officer Beverly, starring Teri Garr. You know, whatever the hell it is. You never know, do you?
That's one thing you can count on. You just never know.
That's right.
Wasn't there a series recently?
Oh, yes. I almost forgot. There was.
Are you trying to forget?
No, I don't care. It was a job to me. It was Good and Evil. Except, you know, they discovered when we were doing that show, it was going to be a good sister and a bad sister. And we found out how really closely related good and evil are. Because all the evil stuff slopped over into the good stuff, and all the good stuff. Like I was supposed to be evil, and my sister was supposed to be the good girl, and yet she was stealing my boyfriend. So how nice was she? Are you listening to anything I'm saying?
I'm listening to everything you're saying.
I'm just watching your eyes, and I'm wondering. Okay.
Are they a little vacant?
Yeah. They're just sort of...
But that's kind of my standard state of affairs.
All right. I'm just asking.
I thought if I wore the glasses, I could maybe conceal that a little bit, but you saw right through into the essence of where I am, which is an empty abyss.
No, that's not true. At least you're not in a strange netherworld. You're sort of...
No, you're in a strange netherworld. I'm in an empty abyss.
Oh, God. We better get a subway out of here.
A yawning chasm.
But don't you think that's good about the public service announcement?
Yeah, that's great. That's a good one.
It could apply to anybody. Don't approach these people unless you really know who they are, because...
And you know what? That's
constant.
I think the
they must do it to you.
Yeah, and you know, more since the Olympics stuff.
And also because you are on at such a time that people are just going to sleep, so they don't know whether they dreamt you or that you're real. Right? Wait a minute. I had a dream
some
about
sort
a
of
guy.
apparition?
Are you the guy that was emptying my trash, or are you on TV?
Inga, the lab assistant in Young Frankenstein. A great role. A very funny movie. What do you recall about it?
I recall that it was a very funny movie.
And a great role, I'm guessing, is the next thing.
Well, I just was thinking I saw Madeline last night in her play, in the Sisters Rosenzweig. She's very funny, and very funny.
Wendy Wasserstein's play.
Exactly. But I had gone to audition for that movie, and there was like 500 girls up for this part, but it wasn't the part, it was the part of Madeline. And Mel Brooks kept saying to me, "Oh, you're very funny, you're very good, but you know, Madeline Kahn might play this part. We've asked her to play this part, we have begged her to play this part, but she doesn't want to." And so finally, the last time I had a call back, he said, "You know, Madeline Kahn has decided she wants to play that part. But if you can come back tomorrow with a German accent, you can have the part of Inga." So I ran home and tried to learn how to speak German.
And how did you acquire a German accent in 24 hours?
Well, the thing is happened was, I was working with Cher on Sonny and Cher show. By the way, I voted for Sonny Bono. What happened with that deal?
In Palm Springs?
Yeah.
He lost, didn't he?
Okay, I didn't vote for him. I don't live in Palm Springs. Well, I just wondered if he was serious about that.
Oh, no, he was mayor of Palm Springs, then he ran
for the Senate.
Right. He tried to get the Republican nomination for Senate and didn't get it.
I would be willing to bet he doesn't even know what the Senate is. What a thing to say. The Senate, the Congress, well, one of those things. But anyway, where was I? I've completely... Oh, I know. So I was working on Sonny and Cher show, and Cher had
Where you obviously acquired a great respect for Sonny.
Yes, I did. One time we were in a script reading, and it was a sketch about Sonny's Pizza, and on the script it said, "Ciao," you know, C-I-A-O, and at the end of the thing he goes, "Callao." It's a good story, isn't it? So there's my respect for Sonny. He was a funny guy. He ran for Senate. That's the thing that's incredible. So Cher had this wig maker named Renata, who was German, and I was working with her the whole time, and I just said, "I'll be Renata tomorrow."
Quick, give him the what? Give him the what? 3 syllables. First syllable sounds like
head. Sounds like head. Bed. Said.
said.
Second syllable. Little bird. This, that, the.
Said,
Said,
dirty word. He said a dirty word.
Sounds like, to give.
Said, give. Give him a said a give.
Tip, sedative.
On the nosy.
So actually, in the movie, I was becoming the wig maker of Cher in the movie. So that's the story of that. It's all going in my memoirs.
And when are those memoirs due?
When do they due?
Yeah.
Pretty soon. I think it's all drawing to a close now. Mm-hmm.
Well, personally, all this talk about the price of gold and dollars and pounds, it makes me all very confused. I just wish that somebody would devalue the pot roast.
You know, my brother Bernie, he works at the market. Do you know that they're actually selling horse meat at the supermarket?
You're kidding.
I wouldn't kid you, sweetheart. Now listen to me. They changed the grading from prime and choice to win, place, and show.
When I was on Sonny and Cher, where I played, well, I guess I was a dancer and a singer and in all these operas, and I also played Cher's mother and Cher's sister and Cher's friend and Cher's all this stuff. But there was about 5 guys in the show, 5 guys and me. And they were the company that did all the sketches. And the boys made $600 a week, and I made $280 a week. And every week I would go into the producer's office and say, you know, "Gary, I want to talk to you." And he'd put his feet up on the desk and say, "What is it?" I'd say, "I think I should get a raise. I think I should get paid as much as the guys get." And he'd go, honey, I don't think so. I don't really. Why should you? We let you out for auditions. We let you out to go to your acting classes. So I never got a raise. So what's the point of this story?
This was exactly equal work, right?
More than equal. I did more work than the guys because I was the only girl.
And they didn't have more experience or come more highly recommended so that their initial asking price?
But the interesting kind of upshot of the whole story is that we've never heard of any of those guys again, except you have heard of Teri Garr. Some people have, or, you know, they used to a couple years ago. Oh, there I go, being self-effacing again. But, you know, I really was, at the time, I had much more confidence maybe than I do now, because I'd say, you're making such a big mistake. I should be getting paid the same thing that the guys are getting paid. And because that you haven't paid me this, I'm going to spend the rest of my life being a major star telling the story about how you've not given me the same money as the guy, the boys. There.
And does that ever cross your mind?
What?
People who have slighted you way back when, people who didn't believe in you,
Nah.
people who sneered at you?
No, 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 because I live in such a fantasy that I never even acknowledged that they didn't believe in me or that they thought I was bad or anybody that didn't understand me. I thought, well, they're just wrong. They've made a big mistake. Which is, I think, which is really what stops a lot of people, because a lot of people that I was in acting class with and stuff, they've all fallen by the wayside because people said, you're no good, your audition stank. And they went, well, I guess I'll go work at McDonald's. You know, I had to say, when anyone said I wasn't any good, I'd say, you are so wrong. I was so good. I was the best. You are going to make such a mistake by hiring her and hiring me. So that's where I came up with this. You have to live in some kind of a fantasy world.
Probably half believing it because of some legitimate confidence, and the other half just trying to figure out some way to get through the rejection, because it's all about rejection.
Yeah, I guess. But isn't this just a microcosm of life, show business?
This show?
Yes. But I'll tell you
Think
something.
about this. If this half hour is a microcosm of your life and of my life,
yes,
what the hell have we been doing?
Well, we've been just, I don't know, jerking around, I guess. But I will say this about that money thing, and it always is stuck with me. When I was a kid, and I told you my father passed away, my mother worked in the studios, and she started off being a seamstress. You know, she's one of these wonderful people that figured out ways to survive and support 3 kids and send everyone to college, and no education necessarily. I told her she was a rockette. Anyway, she worked at NBC as in the wardrobe department. And I used to go and see her when I was a little girl, and she'd carry these racks of clothes back and forth from the stock room and stuff. And she'd say, you know, this man that I work with, Wes, he's getting a raise. And I'd say, well, gee, that's great. Why don't you get a raise? She says, oh, Wes has a wife and kids. I said, but Mom, you got 3 kids and you got no husband. She says, yeah, but I'm a woman. And I was 11 years old or something, and I heard that story and I went, this isn't right, you know?
Yeah.
And it still isn't right. But I mean, women still don't get paid as much as men do for things.
Well, let's take that inevitable trip down memory lane, shall we?
It's inevitable.
See, I have to confess that I'm one of the few people of roughly my age who never watched Star Trek.
So am I. Of roughly my age and yours. I watched it a couple times, but...
So you weren't a Trekkie when you showed up on the show?
No. But at that time, in those days, it was very popular, the show. I mean, but it was just another series, so... Anyway.
And what'd you do there?
Well, I played one of the leads on the show, and it was also a spin-off pilot. Can you imagine if that pilot would have sold?
And who were you in this?
I played a secretary in New York that was kind of, believe it or not, kind of ditzy. And the Leonard Nimoy and the, what's his name?
William Shatner.
William Shatner. They came down into my office, and the guy I was working for was from outer space, and something like that. And I didn't know. And I didn't know. So then the pilot was going to be me and this other guy and I, he was from outer space and I was an Earth girl. Didn't sell, thank God.
And you'll be pleased our records show that it resulted in a new and stronger international agreement against the use of such weapons.
Would you mind telling me who that is?
That, Miss Lincoln, is simply my cat.
Your cat.
What'd you do on Batman? He said, abruptly shifting the subject.
I don't know. I think I was roller skating in a scene or something like that. I don't remember.
You honestly don't remember?
I don't remember. You know, it was during the early days of my career when I had no agent and I was hustling myself around. I was dancing in places and I was doing Sonny and Cher show and I was studying acting and I was doing plays at night, and I would say to somebody, I'd read for the Batman. Can you do this Batman? It's Wednesday. And I said, well, if you can get me out of there by 11, because I had a rehearsal over at CBS. And if I had an agent, they would have said, no, she can't do it because she's working. And I said, I can't get an agent because they will, first of all, they'll take 10%, and second of all, they won't let me take all these, I do 6 jobs a day here. And then I'll say, well, will you go for an audition for a commercial? I go, I'll go on my lunch hour. I would run around all the time like a maniac, hell-bent to get into show business and be not recognized in airports.
Now, how does somebody from Fruit of the Loom contact Teri Garr and pitch the idea that you should be a model for Fruit of the Loom?
It beats me, honey. But I thought it was a very wise decision.
What thinking went into the decision on your part?
What thinking?
Yeah. What thinking went into the decision on your part?
What thinking?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it would be a good idea. Why not endorse a product? pretend like I'm that famous that I could endorse a product and people would actually know who I am in those underpants.
Sure, they're lacy and pretty, and show a lot of leg. But the way they feel, that smooth, soft, fruit-of-the-loom cotton, moves with me, hugging every little curve, and the not-so-little curves.
Were you embarrassed about it?
No.
I'm stuttering even talking about it.
But you have to remember that I used to be a dancer, and that, I don't know, you know, I used to work in nightclubs and stuff in little sequin costumes, so it doesn't mean anything, like it's not real.
Except when you were in those little sequin costumes, you were just a showgirl, a nameless person. Now you're Teri Garr, famous
To
person.
me, I wasn't a nameless person. I was a person.
Well, sure.
But men sitting in the audience, people thought I was nameless, but I wasn't.
What did you do?
What did I do?
Yeah.
I was in people's acts. I was in Donald O'Connor's act. I was in Keely Smith's act once. Who else's act? I did those, you know, movies. I danced in a lot of movies and stuff. I danced on TV shows. I was a dancer.
So showing up in your skivvies wasn't something. It's just another
Yeah.
professional deal.
It's true. It is true. But it's like those baseball players, don't they? I mean, what do you think they think? They say, here I was out being a great baseball player, now they want me to stand here in my underpants. I mean, they've got a worse thing to think about than I do. At least I used to do something like this before. Maybe that's what they were doing, too, out there, with sticking their butts out with those sticks.
And adjusting themselves and whatnot.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry I did this show.
But think of it this way. We're now at the end.
Oh,
So really, people can't turn us off until we've said goodbye.
okay.
See you later.